Good evening or afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Michael Whitaker. I'm going to be presenting today on accountability and the importance of it. Before we can talk about the importance of it, though, first I need to tell you what accountability is, what's it all about, and then why is it important to be accountable. Okay? Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines accountability as an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions. Okay? Pretty good definition, I think, for sure. For me, being a coach and a teacher now, I've been teaching for 5 years, second career for me, but for me, accountability is taking responsibility for your actions, decisions, and their outcomes, whether good or bad, because I think it is important for coaches or players, whoever you are, to be accountable and accept the outcomes of situations and your decisions. So understanding that good, bad, or otherwise, accountability matters because it is a person taking a personal stake in whatever actions they're taking. I think Ronald Reagan had a great quote. I'll summarize it. It's on the slides, obviously, but basically, we need to stop blaming others for our shortcomings or, decisions we make that might not be appropriate, and blaming maybe society or the laws or whatever, and instead using ourselves and being held individually accountable and being responsible for our actions. Or if we want to use a biblical quote, looking at Romans 14, verse 12, so then each of us will give an account of ourselves to God. This verse emphasizes that each of us as individuals will stand before God, and we are going to have to give an account of our lives, and nobody else. It won't matter who did what to us or why we made decisions. We'll have to give our accounting of our life and the decisions we made and why we made them. I think that's a huge burden. Well, burden's probably not the right word. A huge responsibility for us as individuals, because when we understand that no matter what, we are in control of our actions and how we respond, I think that is a massive responsibility we have to do our best and then ultimately to be accountable to ourselves, because ultimately we are going to be accountable to God. Beyond that, there are some examples, as we talk coaching and even teaching or just being leaders. One of the great clips, I remember this clip and looked for it specifically for this presentation, was a basketball player, Giannis. A couple years ago, I believe they got bounced out of the playoffs, and a reporter asked him about failure and whether or not the season they just had went through with the expectations they had and the season they had, they fell short of their goal, and was it a failure? And his answer, and I won't bore you with it because it's in the video, was spectacular. And he talks about learning from mistakes and how that failures only exist if you don't learn and move forward and hold yourselves accountable to getting better. I thought that was just a great response from a professional player, where we often hear excuses made, or we don't always appreciate those professional athletes, that they do take their job seriously and that they want to be the best. And you know what? They also fail, and it's okay to fail. They just need to be better, and they learn that through accountability. I think a great quote I pulled from yearbook, Mr. Kunow, is adults have the responsibility and privilege to guide young people through the fire, not to avoid it or be consumed by it. I think that's a huge, a great quote, and something that as coaches and leaders is absolutely true. We do have that privilege, and we do get to guide these young people through the ups, downs, and trials and tribulations of their life, and help them see through it, and also help them be accountable to it. And I think that's a big deal. Coaches, we play a critical role in the development for our players, students, you name it, on and off the field. And that part of accountability, if we can teach them that and they can learn to be accountable, it helps so many things. When we model that accountability model, when we show responsibility and we model those behaviors and own our own mistakes as leaders, that is something that our players and students would look up to. Being accountable builds trust. If you're accountable, it means you're going to do what you say. You're going to do your job, and that will allow your teammates to do their job. And if we can all count on each other, that builds trust, right? It also helps us make decisions. When you're accountable, you look back and say, hey, what could I do better? I'm not looking to blame and not looking to make excuses, but instead looking to learn from what I did. Did I do something good? Did I do something bad? How could I make it better? As a coach, that will help me be an effective decision maker, and then ultimately being accountable and using that as our kind of North Star fosters team success, because if I know my teammates are going to do their jobs, well, then success is going to happen. If we're all doing what we're supposed to do and there's nothing that gets in the way, that is going to be a massive improvement for us and give us a leg up on the competition. I think it's very difficult for teams to feel that everybody's going to do their job without fail, and it's difficult for some players to understand that you got to let everybody do their job, but being accountable to each other is important. So we find ourselves being in those positions and modeling those behaviors. I think when coaches foster accountability, the players see it, the other staff see it, and it just, again, allows for us to be to take responsibility for success and failure. And I think that's an important piece here, is that success and failure are both things you can be accountable for. It's not a negative, right? There's a clip in here from Coach Carter, I think kind of sums up accountability quite well, and it's dealing with players and their grades. And that's part of being accountable to your team. It's making sure that your grades are being met in the classroom. So that's just another piece of the puzzle here. Ultimately, accountability is not about assigning blame, but taking personal responsibility for your actions. And so I firmly believe that, and I hope that I'm able to demonstrate that to my players, to my students, and that for the players that I have the privilege of coaching and the lives that I've touched or will touch in the future, that they see and know that I'm a person of high character, that I'm ultimately responsible for my decisions, and I hold myself accountable. And that's why I would also hold them accountable, because I would expect the same from myself. And with that, you can check out this PowerPoint as you watch this video. I hope you have a great evening, and thank you. I apologize for the the angle of the video. My laptop, the camera is down low, and so it shows my fingers here, and there's really nothing I can do about it, and I apologize. So hopefully that's okay. Thank you.